Yo, what's up, Pride Nation? Back at you with another video. On today, this is Raw Detroit. Make sure you hit that subscription button, subscribe to the channel, click on the bell so that you'll be notified whenever we put up an upload. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into our video installment. All right, guys, we're going to talk about the historical Lions this season. We're going to call out some things that you probably didn't know that the Lions were able to do this season. And pretty much this is history for the Lions. They've never done this with Barry Sanders. They've never done it with Calvin Johnson or Matthew Stafford or even Herman Moore when he was at the height of his career with the Detroit Lions. The Lions, for the first time in franchise history, pass over 4,000 yards passing, and they go over 2,000 yards rushing on the ground. And all of that was led by Jamal Williams, DeAndre Swift, Jared Goff, and guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown, and the other guys that have contribute to the air attack as well with the Detroit Lions this season. And definitely, man, shout out to Amon-Ra St. Brown, who has having a career season. Definitely, his numbers have gone up as far as receptions. He's well over 100 receptions with 1,112 yards, and I'm sure that that's going to go up once they face the Green Bay Packers on Sunday in that flex game. Definitely, that game is going to be prime time because it's going to be that game is very meaningful, especially for the Lions. If they win, you kind of need help from the Los Angeles Rams to be able to beat the Seattle Seahawks. You never thought that the season would pan out to be this way, but definitely, man, if the Rams can beat the Seattle Seahawks and the Detroit Lions some kind of way upset the Green Bay Packers, man, skies is going to be the limit for this team, and they're going to get into the playoffs. And nobody really thought that this team would be in the playoffs. We probably figured that this team, well, some people may thought that they would have made it to the playoffs. And then some people figured like this team would be hovering around 8 to 9 wins on the season. And that's kind of currently where I thought that they would be. I did not see the playoffs with this team. And everything that they are doing right now is just the icing on the cake for the future to be able to look better and be able to get the missing pieces out of the draft in 2023. That's everything for the Lions right now. Being able to get the guys in here that's going to make this this team really, really rock and roll next season. But shout out to Jared Goff, man. Phenomenal season Jared Goff has had with the Detroit Lions. Cannot say anything about this guy negative because definitely, man, Jared Goff has been on fire. Jared Goff has passed for over 4,000 yards, to be exact, 4,214 and counting against the Green Bay Packers. And then Jamal Williams is over 994 yards. So this looks like Jamal Williams is finally going to snap the Reggie Bush streak of being the last running back in Detroit to be able to go over 1,000 yards. Right now, currently, Jamal Williams is at that 994. And I'm definitely thinking that he'll definitely go over 1,000 yards against his former ball club in the Green Bay Packers. And that's going to feel good for Jamal Williams. This is going to be a tough game for the Lions to go in against the Green Bay Packers and try to beat them in a cold Lambeau Field. But, hey, you got to do what you got to do. This is the type of meaningful games that you want to play for. If you're the Detroit Lions, the Lions have not had any meaningful games in a very, very long time, man. So shout out to what the team is doing. DeAndre Swift, definitely I thought that Swift would be the guy that would be over 1,000 yards and probably about 500 yards receiving, but it just did not go that way. The injuries kept DeAndre Swift from being effective like he wanted to be this season. And definitely, man, the Lions, they got a lot of decisions to make. They can decide to keep all the running backs. They don't have to draft a running back. They don't have to do any of those things. But definitely, man, when you always wanting to get better, you always think about upgrading. So they could also draft the running back in this because of the injuries that Swift have been going through. It probably is a concern for the Lions. So we'll see, man, if the Lions decide to take a running back in the draft. They don't have to take one, but if they want to take one, they can take one. They can also decide to whether or not to bring Jamal Williams back. Maybe he gets a bigger deal from another team, or maybe the Lions just give him a 2-year or 3-year extension and he remains on the football team. But shout out to Jamal Williams, man. Truly has been a leader since the Hard Knocks video, in the speech that he had in the Hard Knocks video, to everything playing out the way that it has played out and panned out for the Lions, man. This has been phenomenal. So definitely, man, shout out to Jamal Williams, man, for approaching 1,000 yards and being the first running back in a long time to finally get that off your back in Detroit, to have a guy that has been able to go over 1,000 yards. And definitely, man, flowers to the Lions for being able to pass over 4,000 yards passing and 2,000 yards rushing. And then Jared Goff has not thrown an interception in the last 8 football games. So in the last 8 football games, Jared Goff has not turned the football over. And that's what you want out of your quarterback, not turning over the football, making the right choices and the right decisions. The only thing that he needs to work on is his chemistry with Jameson Williams. And we know that Jameson Williams has to work himself back into the rotation, because he's been out for, pretty much the whole season, and then coming towards the end of the season, and now you're trying to work on that chemistry with Jared Goff. But I think that next season, the chemistry between those guys will be fire. They will be able to utilize Jameson Williams the way they envision on using Jameson Williams. And definitely, man, this team is really, really going to take off. The only thing that stopped the Detroit Lions from winning a lot of football games this year, I think, is just health. If the team can stay healthy, man, I'm telling you, man, they got the pieces to get it done. If you can get Levi to get healthy, if you can get guys like Josh Pascal and guys like Romeo Carr and some of these guys healthy on that defensive line, man, I'm telling you, man, skies is the limit. And then the offensive line has been phenomenal this season. Pretty much Jared Goff has not been sacked that much this season. And normally the Lions give up a lot of sacks, man. But we have an offensive line that those guys have gotten better. They're starting to gel together. And we would have wished to see how the season would have looked with Big V this year. But we didn't get that opportunity, man, to see what Big V would look like this season. So shout out to the Detroit Lions, man, for making history this season. And this is their first season in franchise history that the team has gone over 4,000 yards passing and 2,000 yards rushing on the ground, led by Jared Goff and led by Jamal Williams coming in and filling in for DeAndre Swift, and pretty much just, handling the bulk of the carries for the Lions. So I can't wait to see, man, what's going to happen in this Green Bay Packers game. I definitely want to upset the Green Bay Packers. I remember all the times that the Lions have gone against the Packers. The Packers have always had their way with us, and they would come to our place, throw Hail Marys. I remember that play because I think on that play initially, the refs, they had called the Lions for a face mask. So that gave the Packers another opportunity to be able to sling the ball down the field. And lo and behold, Aaron Rodgers tosses up a Hail Mary, and they end up beating Detroit Lions and ultimately ended up winning the NFC North title right on the Detroit Lions field. And definitely, if you are a Detroit Lions fan, that left a bitter, sweet taste in your mouth from Aaron Rodgers walking off and throwing the football and winning that football game. So it's been many times where Aaron Rodgers has pretty much dominated us, man. Dominated this team. And you want to see the changing of the guard. And that's what I want to see the Lions in their game, in their flex game against the Green Bay Packers. I want to see the Lions play tough. I want to see the Lions play hard. I want to see the Lions give everything that they got to try to win this football game and shock the NFL world. It is time for the Lions to make that surgence and being a team that you have to look out for in 2023. If the Lions can win this football game, that's going to be phenomenal. But in order for the Lions to be able to make the playoffs, they're going to need help from the Rams to be able to get into the postseason. You need the Rams to be able to beat the Seattle Seahawks. So if that happens and the Lions handle their business and go to Lambeau and win that football game, then the Lions will find themselves in the playoffs. And a lot of us did not think that the Detroit Lions would be in the postseason or even talking about postseason at all. We just thought that they'd probably win a few games, and maybe some thought that they would win a lot of games, or some people may even thought that the Lions would be ultimately in the playoffs. But only time will tell. We'll see what the Lions have on Sunday against the Green Bay Packers. And hopefully the Lions can make history. All right, you guys, this is Raw Detroit, and this is the Keeping It Raw podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I'm out of here until next time. Peace.